Hey everyone, I'm Nito King back for more grinding and folklore, and I've got a new special guest with me.
I'm MajorJF. Hello.
So, I'm going to bore everybody at first by going through my list of folks and trying to remember which ones I have the items to build up. You'll see I'm not going to be very successful.
Yeah. I I probably would end up just having to go through each and every one of them myself.
Yeah, well, I always go through before I start recording the video just to see what it is I need to do, but I'll forget in the time it takes me to actually start the recording.
Isn't that always how it goes?
Oh, always for me. But anyway, we're off to Hellrealm.
Yes, and that is quite the outfit.
So, yeah, I take it you have some specific expertise in this area.
Yeah, I'm just fairly versed in the general Judeo-Christian uh, afterlife. So, um, one of the things about the Judeo-Christian hell is that, or at least on the Jewish side of things, there was actually a place called Sheol, or Abraham's bosom, which was sort of in hell, but not part of the torments. It was there, but separated from the rest of uh, yeah, just separated by a huge gulf from the rest of the actual hell.
It sounds kind of like from Dante's Divine Comedy, where there was a region that was kind of outside of hell proper, where all the, I guess it would say, non-sinning atheists were.
Yeah, but these were the actual. It was sort of a place It was sort of a place where they weren't. They were proper Jews. Or proper Jewish Jews. They just didn't. They hadn't been collected from there yet. There's actually a story. I forget exactly what portion it's in, but there was a rich man and a different Lazarus, not the one that's famous for coming back. And they were separate, and they were in the different regions. And basically, the rich man was begging Lazarus to just bring him even a drop of water to put on his tongue. But the rich man couldn't see that there was a gulf between them that Lazarus couldn't get across to actually help.
Yeah, I remember that story.
Continuing with that a little bit, after Jesus had come, basically after Jesus had gone down there and got the keys of death and Hades, basically that Sheol place was actually sort of given over and overrun, and people would either go to the hell proper or to heaven at that point.
Yeah, that again sounds like something from the Divine Comedy, where I think Dante asks Virgil at one point whether anybody has ever been brought out of hell. And Virgil tells him about the time that, I don't remember if it was Jesus that he mentioned specifically, but somebody had come down, after heaven had been opened to the Christians and, brought out Abraham and,
Yeah.
and all the people who had died before Christ.
Yeah,
At least the ones that deserve to go.
Yeah, there's a couple different versions of it, and in one of the versions, in the 3 days that Jesus was dead, he actually preached to the people in Abraham's bosom let's just go with that. And the people who basically accepted from there, he took with him when he left. So that's what I know about. Well, that's the basics I know, or at least interesting facts. The other basics are things like it's not really fire because there's no light. It's somehow just dark and hot and smells like sulfur. So I'm not quite sure what's supposed to be with that.
Hell is like trying to kill a Rhyneck with a Beithir. And you can see how long this takes, and this is one kill, and I have to score 15 of them.
Oh, please tell me that at least, please tell me that it increases the attack power somehow.
I forget exactly what it does, this particular karma. It probably is attack power, but even with more attack power, like, one of Beithir's gimmicks is it has more than one blade once you built up its karmas a bit.
Okay.
So you can score multiple hits on an enemy, but even so, I keep killing it with the wrong folk.
Yeah.
It's like the entire room with all these guys in it, I think I managed to score 4 kills.
And how many?
With the folk I'm trying to build up.
Wow. And how many kills do they score? I saw your health get low there.
I didn't die in this particular video.
Yeah.
But yeah. Things that I do in this grinding video go on for quite a while, which is why I didn't keep any of the grinding that I did while I was looking for the Cloak of Twilight.
Yeah.
My original plan was to put some of the extended versions of those scenes into this part.
But that would just be...
Yeah.
That would just be ridiculously long.
The most it would do is maybe show you how long it takes to kill Fomor with Degasser, and there's not a whole lot of point to that.
No.
Although I did forget to build up one of the karmas before I had left Hellrealm.
Oh. Well, it happens.
Or rather, there was this karma that's been sitting there since early in Chapter 4, where I got to kill, I think, 3 Balewind with Humpty. And it actually turns out to be really effective when I get to this point. I never played around with it all that much before, but it'll just chase down the enemy that it's punching and keep scoring hits. Works really well. And then once I had done that, I forgot to look at the karma list again, and it turns out you need to kill 5 Beithir with Humpty. So I'm back at Ellen's cabin looking at, okay, what karmas do I have left to build up? Okay, so I gotta go back to Hellrealm again. And every time you change realms, it's go back to Ellen's cabin, fall asleep, then go to the opening of the realm that you want to go to.
Because every time you come out, it makes it daytime.
Exactly. One of the things that I don't like as much about the game, but, you know, minor complaints.
Yeah. It was an early PlayStation 3 game, so some things are going to be weird.
Yeah, I was talking with my mom about this not too long ago, because she bought the game recently. And, you know, I mentioned that it's probably the best implementation I've seen of the motion controls for the PS3.
Okay. A decent use I've seen has been bowling. There was a free bowling game that used the motion controls, and you used the trigger. You held the controller sideways, basically the sticks near your thumb, your ring finger, middle finger near the charge port. And then the triggers were which way you want to spin the ball.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if it's still free, but it was at one point. Just on the PlayStation Network.
Alright. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot of interest in bowling.
Yeah, it was free, so I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, if I could resist the power of free, my house would probably still have room in it for stuff. Then again, we got the Steam sale going on right now. Everybody's talking about, oh, the Steam sale is draining my wallet.
Yeah. The only money it's draining is the money I got from selling cards, so it's not even mine to begin with.
See, I don't even play games enough to earn these cards. I hear everybody talking about them. It's like, oh, it sounds like a really nice thing. You get free money for playing the games, and then you buy more games.
Yeah,
I don't really need that.
Well, part of it is just if you're gonna go out for an hour or so, just start up a game that has cards. If you have it downloaded, it works all right. Oh, I saw you checking Humpty's thing.
Yeah, that was just me making sure that I had an accurate count of how many Beithir I needed to defeat. This is after I came back, and fortunately, you just go to the halfway point, right up to the second floor. There's 2 Beithir in the elevator, 1 here, and then 2 more in the elevator on the way down.
Okay.
And I'm done.
Oh, you came back. But I was gonna say,
Yeah.
that was quick. But then I realized.
Yeah, I cut out all the travel from one realm to another, because I think by now you guys have got the point.
Yeah.
Unless something really amusing were to happen on the way to the forum.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what interesting things are going to happen as I'm traveling from one realm to another?
I don't know. A dog shows up in-game.
I guess that would be interesting. I don't think there are any dogs.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Kushi. But that's not generally going to show up in Doolin.
And I don't think that really counts either.
No. So we finally get out of hell and we go back to the place that's for people who don't even have sufficient belief to go to hell.
Yeah. That is weird.
And I'm still building up Beithir. Like, I'm just going to carry this guy, unmaxed out, through all the realms that I go to, trying to find anything I can kill with it.
Wow.
Oh, and here is Foot Campus. I almost forgot there's 2 folks you guys haven't even seen yet, being built up in this video. But Campus is one of those trap-type folks, but unlike most folks, which disappear if they get attacked, his attack only activates if he gets hit.
Oh,
by
weird.
the enemy. You can't activate him yourself. And I have to kill, fortunately, only 1 Garbara with it, but there's his attack going off, and the enemy has moved out of range.
It's basically a water balloon on a stick.
Yep. And it's embarrassingly impractical.
Yes.
I left this in at normal speed just so you could see how not useful this folk is. And the only reason I can even summon 2 of them at once is that I unlocked one of its karmas with,
items?
Yeah. I think that was the red liquid that I got from the Mystery Messenger quest.
And who says DLC things are overpowered?
Certainly not this one. Although the quests to get it were pretty neat.
Okay. I look forward to seeing them.
Yeah, we're kind of breaking the 4th wall and letting everybody know that I haven't yet posted the quest video where I got this one.
Oh.
I need 21 more cold tree nuts now to build up this useless folk.
Isn't there something that also needs like 99 cold tree nuts?
There will be a folk, I think from the final chapter, possibly from a DLC quest or something, that needs 99 pulse tree nuts.
Ah.
I do have a plan for getting those. This is the other folk that we haven't seen yet, Grindylow.
That one looks fairly more useful.
Yeah, it's a pretty good wind element attack. It's just slow.
Okay.
And I'm kind of surprised that it even hurts Garbera. Well, we'll be seeing a lot of it.
Yeah.
Got to defeat a total of 13 folks with it.
Okay. Yeah, the Endless Corridor is just sort of weird. In a way, it is. It's people who say that hell is waiting in line. Because I'm not quite sure what else you can do here.
Yeah, I guess that is kind of a good point. Just the way they put it in the game was that this is the place where all the people who don't believe that there is an afterlife go. So they have no destination, and so they're in an endless corridor.
Yeah, it's just a weird idea. They had to come up with something, though.
Yeah, I mean, they got 5 realms to fill. They got the obvious, fairy realm / Elysian Fields. War is interesting. Hell, of course, but they kind of saved that for last. And then where do you go?
Yeah, they went with Bottom of the Ocean, which... You sort of have your own, you sort of have things that... You have enough fairy things for being at the bottom of the ocean. But...
Yeah, I've just been wondering what kind of mythology would lead to that. This is something I bring up pretty much every grinding video, is what was the inspiration for the Undersea City?
I don't know, I guess it's the sort of the idea of mermaids. Well, that's what I was thinking to begin with, is that there sort of is that, where the mermaids live somewhere. But I don't know if that's just my seeing of the Hans Christian Andersen or Disney versions of Little Mermaid.
Yeah, it could be, but then what would be their connection with the afterlife?
Yeah, it's one of those... I'm not sure. Maybe I don't know, because at least in the Hans Christian Andersen version of Little Mermaid, the mermaids were actually water spirits or spirits.
Yeah. And in this game, they showed up in Hell Realm.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, we'll be learning about them some more, I think, in the next grinding video. That's just kind of a preview of what Jamie the D told me last time we recorded.
Fun.
Sorry, Jamie, I'm stealing your thunder.
Oh, he'll forgive you. So yeah, looking at the
Back to trying to build up Beithir.
looking at the first quest video, Gammon G. That's unexpected, actually.
Mm-hmm.
For the most...
Yeah, I mean, they really didn't seem to make the Half-Lives characters as much in the early part of the game. They're sort of there and not really doing a whole lot. And then by the end of the game, you kind of get involved in some of their stories.
And most of them do seem to be fairly consistent. Well, I recognize some of them, like just the general Banshee or sort of the witch with a hedgehog. I know it's not exactly a normal one, but I don't know. It's just weird that some of them were created. The idea that some of them were created specifically with strong wishes.
Well, it seems like that's the reason they were all brought into existence.
Yeah, which is weird in my opinion, to think that a banshee would be wished into existence. I'm not even quite
Well,
sure.
not necessarily that someone would wish for a banshee, but that a banshee would be the best fulfillment for that particular wish. You know, I'm sure Charlotte didn't say, I want to meet two robots who are always fighting.
True.
It's more just they were avatars for her parents that she could tell off.
Yeah.
Now, this room that I'm in right here, you might notice I went in a number of times, and even after I had beaten enough Lujag with Moralta Bag Alta, because every time you go into that room, there's a cold tree nut.
Oh.
And the crystals that are in there, there's always 4 of them, they always come in pairs. It's always 2 of them are folks, and 2 of them are the cold tree nut and the exit. So if you know which ones are in each pair, you never have to fight more than 1 set of folks, and possibly none, to get a free cold tree nut every time.
Oh. That seems helpful.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure there are rooms that you can do that for with the pulse tree nuts and the warm tree nuts as well.
Okay.
So if I ever need to grind for a whole bunch of those, that might be a good place to do it.
Yeah. Getting back to the Half-Lives a moment, it's odd that the oddest thing I found about it was that once the purpose was known, they no longer exist. Or it's not that the purpose is known, that once the purpose is fulfilled.
And it's probably the case that knowing their purpose is to fulfill it. That you can't have one without the other.
Well, you can know your purpose without fulfilling it. But...
Well, maybe they can't.
Well, since we only have a sample size of 1, and theirs was something very simple to actually fulfill, I don't exactly know how that works. Because just sort of stopping arguing, yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe that isn't as simple as I'm making it out to be, but...
At least I hope not, because I think it is pretty complicated.
Yeah.
And there we go. That's the power of Balewind. I got to kill 15 brownie with it, and I just took down 2 in one shot.
That seems easier than the other scythe wielding.
Well, this one actually has some power behind it, and I'm fighting something that's weak to its element.
Sure.
If I fought something that were weak to the slash element, I probably would have had an easier time with Beithir as well. I just don't know what that would be.
Puka?
I think Puka's took a while too.
Oh.
But then I realized I need 1 more green dust to build up Humpty, and there's 2 Kilmulas over in the next room. So I might as well just go back and forth and see if I can get one of those before I run out of brownies to kill.
Yeah.
A little bit of insight into what's going on in my head while I do all this really sped up stuff you probably can't identify anyway.
Yeah. Something about the scythes? I'm not 100% sure where the Grim Reaper in general came from, but for the most part, the scythes were just used for harvesting. Or at least at least the English ones weren't necessarily that curved.
Right. That probably came about, the change in image, because of the association of the scythe with the Grim Reaper, rather than the other way around.
Yeah, it was mostly just almost a straight blade.
Yeah. So, this is how easy it is to take down Shefro with Habitrot.
And you're almost done.
Yeah. This is, I don't even need to capture a Shefro at this point. This was just my way of saying, if you wait until Chapter 4, this is how much easier it is to capture this particular folk. And I'm really not very good at this part.
It is a little sad that it takes 2 pulls in order to get that. That one pull just leaves that sliver of not.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's entirely based on your timing. Like, the better your timing is, the more of it you can capture at once. And you can get a critical capture on probably any folk. It's just really hard to do the stronger they are.
Oh my. Is this sped up?
Yes.
Okay.
It's considerably sped up, and I don't even end up capturing the Chefro by the end of it.
Just gave up? Or...
No, it escaped. And then it used its charm and summoned a bunch more folks. And one of them will eventually come over and attack me and break the chain, and I just say, forget about it.
It's not worth it.
I don't need to do this anyway.
Yeah, getting the red it out. Easy at this point. Capturing it...
Capturing it was never easy to begin with. And then I needed to beat a whole bunch of Puka with Rhynek, so just finishing that up here. Yeah, my thoughts on the whole Grim Reaper thing, I think it was just the idea of reaping souls as compared to reaping one's harvest.
Well, there were a number of times when Jesus had mentioned, look at the field of souls, it's ripe for the harvest. And so that's probably what ended up leading to... It was more so in saving them instead of taking them away from this mortal coil, but...
Right, but, you know, the idea of having to separate the soul from the body with some kind of implement.
Yeah.
Although, I would have been surprised to discover that the Grim Reaper was an image that came out of Christian beliefs.
Well...
It just sort of seems at odds with everything I know about it, but that's admittedly not much.
Yeah. Part of it is... I think it mostly came out of there. But it's also sort of a combination of other things, which is... Everything just sort of gets mixed together. Yeah, it's like Santa Claus. Only in one of the, 20, or only 2 out of the 25 countries that has Santa Claus has a red and white coat.
Yeah, well, it was invented by the Coca-Cola company.
Well, sort of. They actually did take one of the Santas that was out there.
Right.
But yeah, it's like the German Santa has a green coat, a green fur lined, a green coat that has fur lining, and it's like the Polish have a Santa Claus. I think he's more of a green with a yellow lining, but not with a yellow trim, and it's like it's all over the place. And some of them have you leave out your shoes and he puts stuff in them. Others it comes down the chimney, but it's just weird combinations of stuff that ends up in popular culture. Weird amalgamations. That's the word.
Yeah. I thought this was at least kind of interesting, because I haven't played as Ellen in the Swamp of Oblivion outside of a quest yet. So it's all the same folks, just in different rooms. And I figured maybe Peg Powler would be more convenient to fight here, and it turns out we've got 3 of them in the room, and 3 is how many I need to beat with Alhazred.
Well, that's convenient, because you don't have to capture them.
Right. I mean, capturing one would probably be a nightmare if I had come here instead of going to the Forgotten Palace.
Oh, yeah. I do like that. You're just doing those little nudges to try getting it back into electricity.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think once Alhazred has hit one folk, it can't hit that folk again.
Oh, okay.
But it's got an even more convenient karma next. Once I can find it in my list. Defeat one Malabaricus. Guess who's just around the corner?
It's almost like they designed them for this. Almost.
Which is weird, because usually they design them to be as inconvenient as possible.
Well, they have to... well, they don't... Right, I was going to say they have to extend the playtime somehow, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be grinding out these things.
Right. And a lot of them I'm pretty sure that if I weren't doing an LP and purposefully showing how difficult they are, I wouldn't even bother.
Yeah, like the Slash Element one. The Slash Element Reaper.
Right. I mean, a lot of the later folks, just because I didn't have the time to build up their karmas when I first played through, I never really got to appreciate them. I do love the way that, you know, you can never hit anything with Mabinogion. There was Malabaricus running away from Alhazred and it still hit it. Alhazred is like what Mabinogion should have been if it was going to be useful at all. And there we go. That's all the karmas I'm building up in this video.
Well, it's been fun.
Yeah, I've only got 3 left to do. 2 of them require folks that don't appear until the end game.
Well,
one of them requires about 12 more green quartz.
Oh, well, at least...
which I discovered I could grind from the, whatever it was, the Mandragora.
Which is
but I didn't realize that until I was doing the editing for that video.
No, at least it will be easier now.
I think there's an even easier way once I get to the end game, but we'll see. So, that's almost all the karmas I'm ever going to have to grind for. And thank you for joining me while everyone watched me do it.
Bye.